Welcome to The Power of Why. My name is Larissa Russell, and I'm a co-author of the book, The Power of Why, and the owner of Creative You. And I'll be your interviewer for today. Today, I have with me another co-author of the same book, The Power of Why, Malva Gasowski. And Malva is an international business trainer, coach, and speaker for corporate soft HR skills. Malva has also become an international best-selling author along with me, but she became an international best-selling author to 2 books in the same week. She is also a parenting coach and a couples counselor working with parents and couples from all walks of life, implementing the positive parenting approach to build closeness in the family. Malva's passion is to make the world a better place through communication and creating a successful business while being a fulfilled parent and happy couple. So to promote the upcoming launch of the book, The Power of Why, we are asking all women in business to share their why, including the other authors. So why did they take the leap to start their business? So welcome, Malva.
Oh my goodness, welcome, Larissa. Thank you very much for the introduction. I feel kind of honored to be introduced like that, to be honest.
Well, it's all true though, it's all true. So
yeah, yes it is. Thank you very much for having me.
So can you share your why?
You know what? I have shared my why in the book, and that was my first why. So the beginning of whys, because I believe that the older you get, the more you learn, the more people you meet, you realize that you can't just have one why for all the walks of life that you're taking. There's a different why you wake up in the middle of the night when you have a baby. There's a different why you want to snuggle to your husband in the evening. There's a different why you embark on crazy projects where you have to write a book with other people and then you become international bestsellers. And there's another set of whys that, for example, I hop on the plane and I travel across the world to conduct workshops for corporations. So the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of people think and have this anxiety of if they don't find their one single purpose and their one single why, then it's not worth it. So what I tried to do in my own life, and I actually recommend others to do that as well, is find your why of the moment. So what is it that you're doing now? Why are you doing it? And is it really necessary to get you to the goal where you want to be? If the goal is, for example, relaxing, then yes, cuddling to your husband is the best option. If your goal is, for example, to feed your baby, then yes, sometimes you have to wake up in the middle of the night. And if your goal is to, let's say, develop your career and make sure that you are executing the passion of conducting workshops internationally, then sometimes you hop on the plane on a Thursday, you don't sleep for 2 nights, your time, you wake up at 3 a.m., you conduct a training session and you hop back on the plane and fly back. So whatever your why is, make sure that you live by it and you're actually happy with it. As for my own why, my family is my why. So just last week, my son went on Messenger and Facebook for the first time because he turned 11. And I said, all right, at 11, I will give you access because that's the kind of parent I am. And you know what he did? The first thing that he did, he actually searched for me and he wrote a comment on my post as one of the first things that he did. And he said, I'm so proud of you, Mom, your son. And that is my why. Okay, so that is my most recent why. And the moment I saw that, I had to wake him up and cuddle. And I said, you know what? Thank you very much. You make everything worthwhile. So that is my current why.
I love that. That gave me goosebumps. That actually gave me goosebumps. And it's so true. Like we each need to find our own why. And it is very much in the moment from one thing to another. And it might be the why that gets you started right now, but you know, what keeps you motivated? What's your why to keep going? And yeah, absolutely. So how would you encourage other women to take the leap, to feel empowered to start their own businesses?
I love supporting other women. So the first thing that you need to do before you actually start a business is to find a circle of people that are actually your cheerleaders, but not blind cheerleaders, but knowledgeable cheerleaders. So make sure that you surround yourself with people that will give you advice, will paid or not, whatever the situation is, where if you are in the position to actually pay for coaching sessions of business people who are where you want to be, then go ahead. But if you're not in that position, you know, there's a lot of free content, and there are a lot of people that are willing to actually share their knowledge on discovery calls, for example. So there is access to knowledge no matter what your budget is. So firstly, make sure that you know where you want to go, so your why, and then make sure that you try to get as much information as you can to take the first step. You don't have to have everything planned out. Trust me, the biggest companies that are successful nowadays, they didn't have a business plan that would take them to where they are the moment they launched. Okay, so yes, they did have the first step and maybe a vision of the second and maybe a vague idea of what the third step would be. But like you said, take it a day at a time, and then you will know. Once you find the knowledge, once you learn from other people's mistakes, find your first step and take it. Just like it says, you know, a leap of faith. If it works, great. If it doesn't, brush yourself off and try again. Okay, so one of the things that why actually does for us, it actually ignites fire under our persistence and perseverance. Because if you know what your why is, then even if you stumble or even if you fall, you will get up, brush yourself off, and go again. It doesn't really matter how many times you fall, how many times you fail. It just matters that you one up that by standing up and going forward.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. And it's something I talk about a lot, about just keep going, keep going. Doesn't matter. Fail forward is what, you know, just
I
keep
love
doing
that.
it. Yeah. Fail forward. Yeah. So what is one memorable or funny experience that you have from your business?
You know what? I'm a goofball, meaning I love to laugh. I love to give go. I love to find the good and funny in every situation. So I have a lot of funny situations that when I try to think of just one, I don't know. But, you know, there's one that made me realize that you just got to go with the flow, right? So I had to go from Australia to Europe, but because there were a lot of cancellations with the flight that I was on due to weather, due to technical difficulties, instead of flying from Australia all the way straight to Europe within like a 36-hour flight, I had to go from Australia to Singapore to Malaysia, from Malaysia to Los Angeles, from Los Angeles to Chicago, from Chicago to Washington, from Washington to Berlin, from Berlin back to Frankfurt, and from Frankfurt to Warsaw in 78 hours nonstop flights.
Oh my goodness.
So, you know, for me, other people would get stressed. I found it hilarious because my ticket was pretty cheap compared to the air mileage that I got and the cities that I got to visit in between, because sometimes the layover was 3-4 hours. And I was like, oh, by the way, can I leave the airport? They're like, yeah, go. So I went and, for example, grabbed dinner in Singapore, and I would have not been able to do that. Or I grabbed lunch in LA, and then I went, oh, okay, how about I go shopping in Frankfurt when I'm there? So I kind of tried to make the most of every situation. I was dead tired after the 3 days of not sleeping, but this is the best experience that I could actually have envisioned, only because if things had gotten and gone according to plan, it would have been boring, but now it was exciting.
I love that. And it's so true, because life happens, right? Life happens, and we're constantly having to change it up. And so, yeah, I love that story. I love it. So do you have a business value that you stand by?
Honesty. Honesty, and once again, honesty. Honesty doesn't mean truth that hurts other people, but honesty means make sure that to the knowledge that you have and to the things that you are doing, your intentions are pure towards that person. Everyone makes mistakes, and mistakes happen at times, but make sure that those mistakes were not intentional. Make sure that you are honest. You, by you, I mean me. So whenever I look in the mirror, I know, were you honest today? And then the answer is 100% yes. Sometimes I say I was, but data changed, and to the best of my knowledge, when I was saying something, now unfortunately I have to go back on my word, or I have to give more data, or I have to say, you know what, things have changed, and that's fine. And I wasn't taught that as a young child, and I wasn't taught that in school. In schools, because I had a few, I was taught to try to cheat my way around something, and I was never okay with that. I don't know how to cheat. So other people were having cheat sheets and you know, dodging the tests, and I was there studying hard because I get stressed and emotional whenever I have to cheat. So I'm like, then why am I going into this road or this room or this path of dishonesty when I myself, I'm feeling anxiety and I have discomfort because of that? So there were a few years ago when I said, no, my policy has to be honesty and truthfulness. I don't care what the truth is. If I know it, I'll know how to deal with it. Okay. And then if I know how to deal with it, I'll find actionable steps to make it into something positive. The worst thing that I can do is actually build a luxurious castle on sand that is not, and by sand, I mean dishonesty. So I prefer to live in a hut on solid ground than in a castle built on sand. So for me, my relationship, by relationship, I mean personal and business value is honesty. And I will tell you the whole truth straight to your face, and I will try to help you fix it both emotionally and organizationally, should it not be in accordance to what you would have liked to hear. So this for me is something that I stand by, and I actually found a lot of people respect that. And although at first they might not like the fact that I'm telling them nicely, of course, what the situation is, they come back after a day and they're like, you know what, I thought this through, thank you for being honest. I'm like, because I have good intentions towards you, that's why I'm honest with you.
Yeah, and I think that's so true. And just as you brought up about, you know, our foundation of dishonesty, and I hadn't really thought about it that way, but we are like, how to cheat the system, how to work around things, and it's like, no, you have to really just stick with it and do the work for it, you know, so that honesty is super important. And yes. I really like your take on that.
Yeah, thank you. I have 3 kids, for those of you that don't know, and it's really hard to teach our kids honesty because even the teachers prefer lies instead of honesty at school. And I'm like, tell your teacher you didn't do it. You didn't have enough time. Oh my goodness, but I can't. I'm like, why not? Because she'll be angry at me. For what? For being honest and saying, I didn't have the time because of something, or whatever the situation is, I will make it up. So you're telling the teacher what the problem is, where you made a mistake, how you will fix it if she is okay with it. If not, then deal with the consequences. That is so much better than going and saying my hamster ate my homework, right? So actually, you know what? Teaching children from a young age that honesty is key is something that is quite a passion of mine as well, because it is something that I execute every single day. Because if we are truthful, then the world is just a better place.
I think so. I'm going to agree with you on that one. So we talked a little bit about this, but everyone has had to adapt in some way. And how did you, from a business perspective, adapt or learn to adapt?
You know what? I had to adapt 180% or whatever, because all of my corporate engagements were engagements that were in person. So I had airline tickets to Dubai. I had airline tickets to Australia. I have airline tickets to United States, and so on and so forth. They were bought and they were reserved. And then I was just supposed to be there. All of my training and workshop materials were already prepared and printed for me to go there and conduct these sessions. And all of a sudden, everything was just closed. So every single aspect of my work, from my corporate side to my parenting and counseling side, had to be adapted, switched, and I had to learn. So for some people say, I'm bored in the epidemic. let's say, time frame now. I don't even think there was an hour when I was bored. I feel that through these academic, my time has exhilarated to the extent that I don't even know where the time flies, because I didn't sit down on the sofa and turn on a TV series or whatever, but I felt, what can I do to use this time? And I have done so many things that, had it not been for this change, I don't think I would have done. So because I was busy with other things. So I'm very grateful. Again, I try to find the positive in everything. I'm very grateful with the opportunities that I had, the people that I had met, the projects that I am involved in, and most importantly, yes, I did not sleep for some of the nights because I have kids. I have to be a mom and a teacher and a nurse and a cook, for example, at the same time as a businesswoman. So sometimes I have to do the businesswoman part either early in the morning or late at night, which gives me immense joy to be able to actually combine all these things together. And yes, I do have mindful me moments where I'm like, okay, mommy needs her coffee, children go away, phones are off, because I need a few minutes to regenerate. So there is this work and life balance. But the fact that we are actually able to change and pivot now to make not necessarily money, but the world better around us is amazing for me. And whenever someone comes to me and starts complaining about their life, the situation, I'm like, okay, think about it. What if this happened in 1860 something? You would not be able to learn. You would not be able to have a university degree online. You would not be able to meet with your friends online. You'd be surrounded by chicken and pigs. Okay, don't complain. It's good. You know, take your phone, take your computer, open it, and meet with people, because having a drink across the world with a new friend is an amazing experience. So that's how I adapted, and that's how I really recommend everyone to adapt. So find the positivity in the situation, make sure you use it to your advantage, and don't only look at it from the monetary perspective, but also look at it from the enrichment, spiritual and educational, when it comes to changing your everyday habits.
Oh, so true, so true. And I think if we talk about the pandemic in particular, just the way the world has shifted, and I feel like people's values have become a little more important, right? And what they truly believe, and they're starting to feel into that a little more. And the more they're in this situation, they're finding out what's important to them. So
actually, there are a lot of people that I'm talking to, and they're like, I actually had the time to reflect, to see what I want. Is this what I want? Or maybe something else. Or you know what, I've taken up a new hobby, or went back to my old hobby. And that actually, you know, what you're teaching, which is your authenticity, this is what people have actually tapped into. And that for me personally brings a smile to my face, because the moment you are honest and authentic, it shines through. Your pores are better, you've got a better smile, and you have that level of sureness and confidence, as opposed to anxiety and stress. And your life is better inside and out, from my perspective.
I absolutely agree with that. I do. So I want to thank you so much for doing this interview with me. And if people want to know where to find you so they can learn more about you, where would they find you?
Oh, thank you. My name is Malva Gasowski. So if you hashtag Malva Gasowski, then you'll have my post. I work with Coaching Mother and All. So again, you can find that both on Facebook, on Instagram, and on my website. There are certain dots and dashes there, but generally if you Google Malva Gasowski Coaching Mother and All, I'll pop up.
Absolutely. So thank you again for being here today.
Thank you, Larissa, for having me. Bye, everyone.